Hi everybody, welcome to the work area today. We are going to be working on this. This is my Henglong M4A3 Sherman tank, number 3986 I believe is what it is. Yeah, 1/16 scale. Comes with the 105 howitzer. Yes, they had 105 howitzers. And today we are going to actually be modifying this Sherman into a British Mark 5C Firefly. Yes. Firefly is the British rendition of, they took the Sherman and they put the 17-pound anti-tank gun in it. So that's what we're going to be doing with this. So you're going to need a couple of things. One thing first, you're going to need the barrel. I got one right here. Let me just get this out for you. There are other barrels out there that you can throw into this because it's a BB. It shoots 6mm BBs. That you can put any barrel into this as long as it slots into the mechanism. But the problem is there's barrels out there that are made, especially like they have German muzzle brakes. It's not the right barrel to put on a Sherman in order to turn it into a Firefly. It's got a bulbous muzzle brake, tapers like this now. Slow taper like right through here, and it's a massive taper here, and then this would be inside right here in the muzzle brake, or not muzzle brake, inside the gun mantlet, everything. So that's gonna sit like that, right in there, more like that. All right, so you got that. Another thing about the Firefly is, in order to fit the massive 17-pound gun into it and take the recoil of it, they had to remove the radio from the back side of the turret. So what they did was they cut a hole here, and they made a giant box which they call bustle, and it puts onto the back of there and everything. So it's basically a hole in the back that leads to a radio box. And I 3D printed this one on my Ender 5 here. I made this in SketchUp, a Pro and everything. So that just sits right there. That's gonna sit like that. Just like that. So we got those two guys. This turret does not turn 360 degrees because when Henglong designed this, they were afraid that somebody would just keep turning it and it would wind up the wires inside and pull them loose. So they made it to where the gear, which is like this one does turn 360, but there's a gear in there that has like a block here that stops it from turning 360 degrees. So we're gonna switch that gear in here out for this guy here, and we also got this to go with it. This here is a what is called a swivel block. It's a rotating switch, really. This rotates and everything, so it doesn't wind up and everything. So they got that. Another thing about the Sherman Firefly was, in order to, everything was built around the 17-pound gun that turned this into a tank killer. Well, in order to fit the ammunition to work the gun, they didn't have adequate storage because the 17-pounder used 76mm ammunition, whereas most Shermans use 75mm ammunition. So they didn't have adequate storage. So what they did was they basically did away with the co-driver who worked here. He was a radio man. He was a co-driver. He worked the bow machine gun here, which was a Browning 30 cal 1919. Did away with that. So they basically just took some metal and just welded over this. So I'm thinking of probably trying to manufacture something that cover that and make that look good. Right there. Fill that in to make it look like this in here. Here's a bit of a problem I have with the Henglong tank. This one is that when it comes in the box, there's like it comes in foam that surrounds the tank to protect it. But there's a piece that comes out here and stops the gun. It keeps it from moving and everything. The problem is, in this position, you cannot get into the driver's hatch to turn on the tank. I wish they would make a mirror image of the phone to where the turret would be turned this way instead of this way, because either you have to open this and take a tool and stick it in there and work that switch, or you have to wrench the turret, which by wrenching the turret you wrench gears, motors, internal workings. It's horrible. Anybody out there who works with mechanics or electronics knows you do not wrench a gearbox or a motor. So what I need to do is, it's the last time I'm going to do it, because as soon as I make this modification, it's no longer going to fit in that box. So I'm going to make a special box for it when this is all done. Right? I don't know when it's going to be, but I'm going to make a box for it. So first thing we need to do, we need to wrench the turret. We're going to make it point forwards. And then we're going to power it on. We're doing this for 3 reasons. 1, we need to check to make sure that the gun is actually empty. Like I said, it fires 6mm BBs. So even though you look down in here, you see that there's no BBs. There could be a BB in the chamber. I don't want to get shot. I don't want anybody to get shot. So we're going to power it on. Make sure that the gun is pointing in a safe direction, and discharge the firearm, the weapon. And then we will also elevate the gun to its fullest elevation, because later when I have to pull this out, it's easier to pull the gun mechanism out of the turret if it's at its fullest elevation. Another reason for turning on is to rotate the turret to where it is straight on, because like I said, I have to go and switch this gear out. I want the gears and everything to be pointed straight forward so that I get a good reference point. I don't want to put this gear in wrong or nothing and it be cattywampus when I put everything back together, because then I'm going to have to go and take everything apart and redo it somewhere. Maybe. I don't know yet. But it's just those three things to start it up. So let's see. Got turn. Another thing I don't like about the Henglong tank here is that on the bottom, here is your battery housing. You have to work a screw loose in order to take this off and put the battery in. The Tiger version of this, the Tiger 1, has a spring lever here. So you pull this and this whole thing will fall off. Will come out and everything. And then you can get it at the battery and put that in and get the tank going. So I wish they would fix that with this and all their tanks, because it's a really good idea. Same time, another idea I had was, if you gotta get into this to put a battery in, why not move the switch from the driver's hatch into here? Because they did the same thing with the Tiger. The start switch is in the driver's hatch. I mean, it's just an idea. I don't know. I'm just ranting here about that. But I gotta start this up. We're gonna rotate the gun forward. We're gonna elevate it. We're gonna make sure that the gun is empty. And then we will start taking this apart. Alright? So, it's gonna be a bit. So, give me some time. Okay. Alright, guys. So, I took the bottom off, like I said. Another thing I hate about this is, if you take this out into the field, you take the chance of losing that screw. And plus, you have to carry a screwdriver with you. It sucks to do that. So yeah, if you have that spring-loaded piece here like that, you alleviate that in a screwdriver. It's a great idea, I think. Also in here, there's plenty of room for a switch to turn this unit on. Take it from the driver's hatch, put it underneath with the battery. Simple enough. Okay. So we got that turned on. Now it's time for the dreaded part. I have to wrench the turret because I cannot open that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something. I'm going to take this like this. In there. Just like that. Okay. I just realized something. I don't have the batteries in this yet. So the lights are flashing. It means it is trying to pair with the control. But the problem is I don't have the batteries in because I forgot. I forgot to put the batteries in. What I'm planning on doing is getting a couple extra batteries for both the control and the tank itself. And that way, when I do go into the field, if the batteries die, I can just switch them out real fast. There you go. That beep means it's paired. Tank's empty. So, go ahead and power it off. I gotta rotate it a little bit more. See, that's the thing, you can't necessarily do it. If you do it like that, you can access the place. That's kind of out. There you go. That's better. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna turn this off. We're gonna turn you off. Now we're going to disconnect the battery. We're gonna start disassembling the tank. So, simple enough. Just pull the battery here loose. There you go. There's like that. So we'll put the battery in here where it's safe. Screwdriver. So, okay, guys. So here you go. There are 4 screws that you need to take apart in order to remove the top chassis from the lower chassis. That's these guys here. The main reason for the Firefly was it was a stopgap tank. The British wanted a vehicle that could go up against the German big cats, the Tigers, the Panthers, such as that. They were getting tons of Shermans from us, but they weren't. But the Sherman, because of U.S. military doctrine, was had problems. It mostly had the 75mm anti-tank gun. This gun was fine against Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs, and the smaller Germans, but when it came to the big cats, it was anemic. It couldn't stand up to them. It couldn't penetrate. So the thing that the British had was a 17-pound anti-tank gun. So they went in and they were like, well, let's stick this into a Sherman. What is that? So like I said, they did all those changes to the tank. Like they added the bustle, they put the tank in. Fun fact, in order to get the 17-pound gun in there, they actually had to rotate it 90 degrees so it was easy to load, but it would also fit in the turret. Another fun fact about the 17-pounder is when they were first creating it, they didn't have enough carriages for it. Just the anti-tank gun. So they took the carriage from the British 25-pounder artillery piece and used that instead. Yeah. So take a picture of the wiring, take a picture of the gear, because as you can see right here, there's that little block that I told you. This comes around, hits this motor, and stops it from moving. So this is why it's that little guy there. I've seen people file this down into teeth so that they'll rotate all the way and everything, but I just went ahead and bought the gear and this. So hopefully this will help with the whole rotating and everything. It'll rotate, and this will keep the wires from ripping out of the boards and everything. Alright guys, so here we are, we're back. Sorry it took me a minute. I went in and I put tape on all these wires that run to the end, or to the turret. So they're all marked here, and I've taken photos of all of this just to keep track of everything. So now we are ready to start pulling these wires off the motherboard, off this board here, the receiver board, and then we can, once that's loose, we can remove the turret from the upper chassis. So very carefully we're going to pull them out. Alright, so that's the entire turret assembly. is now free. So I'm also going to mark this guy, because this runs to that. I'm going to go back in and mark all these and everything, but for now I just need to know this guy. Okay, because he's what goes to the turret. So now I got that free, I'm going to go ahead and take these two. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a screw there, and a screw there that attach this gear to the turret, and then sandwich it onto the chassis. So we just pull these loose, and then we should be good to go. Alright, so there is the turret gear. Which, yes, I've taken pictures of that too, so I know what direction it's going to go. It really shouldn't matter, I don't think. Because as long as it sits, the new one sits like this. I have the turret straight, like this and everything. So yeah, that should be fine. Yeah. Alright, so the turret should have come loose. Yep, it did. There you go, guys. There's your turret. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to go in and tape all this up and everything so that so if anything does happen ever, I can retie these wires back to where they go. Because there was a video where I seen a guy do this, and a couple of these came loose, and he said he had a little bit of trouble putting them back. So that's why I've marked them all and everything. I'm going to mark these now. So once again, I'll be back in 1 second. So here we are. I got those all labeled and everything. So I'm on to working on the turret. So in order to... This here is the BB mechanism for shooting the BBs. So I gotta take all of these. So these 4 screws out. I need to get a container. Put these in. Maybe. Sorry about the jarring, guys. So these 4 hold the bottom of the turret and the top of the turret together. So there's those 4 screws. All those are in here together. Okay, so turret should come off now. Or no, I got 2 more, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I got these 2 here. Didn't see how it went like that. I thought it just was like this, because as you can see, there's a little bit of a line. That pulls free. Put that back like that. Work it off. There you go. There's the bottom of the turret right there. Okay, so we're going to set that over here to the side. Don't fall. Okay, so here is your gun mechanism. Yes, the inner turret. I'm going to try to put as many of the parts that I'm using for this up as I can. Either both listings as well as manufacturer parts so that you guys can go find them. But at the same time, I cannot find just this turret piece. I don't need the gun or nothing. I just need the turret piece to add to this, because in order to pull this loose, you have to kind of wrench the cheeks here, and if you're not careful, you will break these right here, and it'd be horrible. I mean, with all my stuff, I could probably fix it, but I would like to show you guys where you could find a replacement one if you accidentally do this and you break it. So yeah, in order to get this out, it's all one piece. Don't worry about taking any of these screws loose or nothing. You have to pry the cheeks apart. As you can see, it's one pulling apart there and pulling apart right there a little bit. You pull that apart and you kind of work the turret. Careful now. I just heard something crack. But as you can see, that's starting to break open right there. We need to do that all the way across and just move it down. There we go. Works loose. There you go. She's out. All right. Now the fun part. We have to change out the barrel here to introduce the new 17 pounder. Did I break that? No, I didn't break that. That's like that. Okay. But yeah, we have to take this apart in order to get to this gun, switch out this gun for the 17 pounder. So give me, sorry about that. I'm back. I took a minute to look this over, and truth be told, I don't know why I was so nervous, because I think if I take this screw and this screw here out, this whole mechanism, the green part, will separate from the white. Very careful. Alright, so I'm hoping that, yep, it did it. Okay. Very simple, very simple. You just, that comes out, that goes in, and you just work. This guy coming. So how does this come out? Do I gotta take that out? Nope, it just comes in. And there you go. There's your barrel. There's your 105 barrel that you have that I'm changing out. Okay. So there's that. Where's my 17? There's my 17 pounder. Right there. Look at that guy. Wow. Okay. Those there, okay. And that comes out, and then I'm open it. I'll take a deep boring bit to the tool to this, I think. Take that burr off some. There's a recess in there. I need to chamfer off. Come on, where are you? There you are. There you go. Okay, there's that. There you go. Well, somewhat. Like I said, this is kind of nerve-wracking to do. So, be careful. There you go. That sits in just like that. That's perfect. Okay. Alright, there we go. There we go. Finally, I got that in like that. Deboard that. Got the barrel into the tank. Or into the muzzle. I dropped this, so I kind of had to... I took a minute to find it, and I dropped this, so now I'm trying to figure out how it goes. I think it goes like that. So we're gonna reassemble it, and if not, then I guess I'm gonna be taking the part kit. Sorry guys, trying to keep this in, trying to watch what you're doing, trying to keep it in frame so you guys can see. I'm just holding that in there, so this attaches to the turret. So basically, it's gonna be like that. Alright guys, so I've removed the 105 barrel from the gun mantlet. I have installed the new 17 pounder barrel in the mantlet. I had to use my deburring bit here a little bit to take off some of the gun mantlet, but it fits snugly in there now. Alright guys, so here is the bustle. I had to 3D print it because it broke and everything. There's the old one there. Here's the new one, fresh off the printer, with a little bit of magic here. We're gonna turn it green. So 1, 2, 3. Okay guys, now I got the bustle. It's all set. Went ahead, put some double-sided tape on it. I got 2 holes here for screws. This is gonna be mounted right here on the back of the turret. 2 screw holes going through here. And if you look, I've got this little land right here that butts smoothly up against the bottom of the turret. Right there, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put that together for you right now. Actually, with a little bit of magic, here we go. 1, 2, 3. The bustle is now attached to the turret. So now we need to reassemble the gun assembly here. So we're going to put this together like this. 2 screws on the sides. Okay, the gun is back together now. Now we need to reinsert the gun into the area. So we need to watch the 2 little tabs here. There. And there. You gotta key into this. You also have to make sure that this little plug here recesses into this channel here, because that is what elevates and depresses the gun. So we need to do that. This is another scary part. It's a bit of finagling to do. This is scary part. Pull the cheeks back. There you go. The gun is now seated back in the turret. The actuator I don't know if you guys can see that. It's in the channel to raise and lower the gun. The bustle has 2 screws there holding it in place. So now the turret is complete. CM10. Label and take pictures, guys. It'll save you in the long run. And save them. Don't throw them away. Save them for future references. I don't know. I might have to get into this and fix it later. Alright, so that's all done and in place. So I'm going to zip tie all these together. Now we are ready to put these screws back in, and we can put put screws in, and we can attach. Put the gear. Make sure that then the slip ring can go right here. I think right around this way, because there's nothing going on this side. I try to go in star power when tightening screws and bolts and stuff, so that way, because I was taught that there's a chance that it will not close evenly if you do it all the way around and everything. So alright, so that's all in. There you go. Now we need to zip tie the slip ring in place. I'm thinking about right there. And the gear will go on. Alright guys, so now the turret is back together. I drilled out this hole. There was a screw there that hold this. Let me see. See that black right there? There's a little electrical piece there. I drilled out that hole, put a zip tie, and I drilled out this little landing here upwards, put a zip tie through there, and I put another one through, and I go around the unit. So now the unit will spin. Now we'll keep this from gunking, from the wires from twirling together and pulling loose. Alright, so now we're about to remarry the turret to the chassis, but I want to take a second to talk about this piece, because when it comes with, so the board up here is labeled, and so I could plug all these pieces that went into the chassis into that, and it runs through this to all these wires. But when it gets to here, you can see it's all black and red, and this doesn't come with a diagram to tell you which each one of these is which. So you'd have to trace the wires thankfully I got on Google and looked it up, so I was able to find out which each one of these is. So I knew for a fact that this one here was for LED, and I knew that this one here was CN16 because it only has 3 prongs. But these other guys here, without tracing the wires, I had trouble figuring out what they were. Well, there's a diagram on Google. I will put a link to it in the description. I will take pictures. I have pictures of this and everything. So it'll tell you what these are. So you don't have to go hunting for these. So you'll be able to go straight to it. But now, we're going to set this in. We're going to remount the 360 gear. And then we will put this tank back together. So yeah, I think we're on the home stretch almost. So let's get her done. Run that through there like this. This like that on top. .360, so it's gonna sit like this. The front of the tank is this way. And it sits, yeah, so this butts up against the bottom of the turret. This goes into, you can see that. This butts against the turret. This is what goes into the, crack there? This is what goes into the motor that rotates the turret. So we gotta run this through like this. Alright, so I had to take the bottom chassis loose from the top chassis, nothing big. I'm gonna pull this motor off because trying to get around this new slip ring here is causing problems for the gear to go in place. So we're going to take the motor loose. So as you can see, that will rotate, including this, with the turret. So now we just need to reintroduce the gear. So I'm going to point that straight ahead. I'm going to just take this. So there's a gear there. That gear there meets this gear here. And that's what rotates the turret. There's this motor here that turns a gear mechanism and everything. This is what you're wrenching. This is what you're wrenching. This here and this here. When you have to wrench the turret to turn on the unit. Okay, so now we can reintroduce the bottom turret, or not the bottom turret, the bottom chassis. This guy here. And we got all of these guys go into these ports here. I've labeled them so I don't lose them. I've got pictures of this so I don't. So yeah, if something goes wrong, I can just look at the pictures and everything and possibly diagnose something. So it was like that. So I even went and labeled these guys. So like, these are the LEDs, which is here, and then this is CN3. This is, so where is that? CN3. CN3 right there. Okay. Electrically, everything should be labeled to where if ever I have to get back into this thing, I can. I'll try and take pictures of stuff for you guys so that you guys can see where everything goes. We've gone through our final electrical check for make sure everything works. So we're going to put it all back together now. Finally, in a couple of days since I started this. Actually, one day I took it apart, and then the next day I tried to put it back together and broke the bustle. So now I had to 3D print a new one and get all that done and all kinds of stuff. So we are finally able to reassemble the entire tank and put it all the way back together. Alright guys, the tank is back together finally. It's taken me several days to do it. Like I said, it's like 3-4 days actually. I broke the bustle, so I had to make a new one and everything. And the color does not match the rest of the tank. So I'm probably going to have to paint this whole tank or find a color closer to that. But either way. But that is, I have turned my Henglong 105 M4 Sherman into a British Firefly. Yep, that's how you do it. I know I teased about making a cover for the battle machine gun here, but I've thrown a lot of information at you guys here. We've switched out the gun, we put the bustle on, we've changed out the gear, or the turret gear for a 360 gear. We've also installed a swing housing, rotating the sling ring. I'm sorry, sling ring. A lot of information. I've gone over tons of electrical and everything. I'm going to give you as much information as I can so that you guys can go do this yourself and everything. I'm going to try and put links in the description so that you guys can go find this stuff, the slip ring, the gun, the gear itself. Like I've there's a problem with the slip ring though. They don't come with, the one that I got did not come with a diagram, so I had to go online and find one. And the diagram I found online on Google, they had the CN6 and the CN6 and the CN4 reversed. So the yellow, where it goes into the receiver, is supposed to be CN4. The blue, which is supposed to go into the receiver, is supposed to be the CN6. So if you put those backwards, the gun will not elevate. So yeah, you gotta keep an eye out for that. So I will get you some B-roll of this from the garage, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.